Hey, what is up everybody, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Disney's Investors Day, and boy was it an investment of my time. The whole program goes on for over 3 hours, but the last 30 minutes or so are more Q&A stuff. So we have a lot to talk about. So I'm just going to keep it down to what I thought was the most interesting points. So starting off, I believe it was the CEO or someone high up in Disney was like, some of the clips that they were showing, they were gonna have some issues with the rights, so like we may not get to see it, and we definitely didn't get to see a lot of the clips that the presenters assumed we were gonna be able to see. I don't know, which was it was kind of weird. I don't know, like, how would they not have the rights to that if they're like producing this content? Like, I don't know. I'm not super into the business of all these different productions, but that's a little bit weird. But aside from that, they also just like completely rushed by that they're going to be adding something to, I believe it's like Disneyland California, that's going to be called the Avengers campus. At least that's what they said in the presentation, which is basically like what they're doing for Star Wars in Disney California and Disney Florida, with like the whole different, with the world where like you can just like walk around and see like the Millennium Falcon and like all this other crazy stuff. So they literally just dropped that at the beginning of the presentation, just like kept moving. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that was cool. And then let's see, the next thing that they talked about, they're like, over the next few years, they're going to be coming out with 10 Marvel series, 10 Star Wars series, 15 live action animation and Pixar series, 15 live action animation Pixar films as well, which is a lot of content. And they're saying that they were doing that because their goal is to basically have something new to watch, like, basically every week. And I'm like, that's a lot of stuff, considering, especially where we're at now. I guess they're probably hoping that everything will go somewhat back to normal in the near future, because this is a lot of stuff. I don't know if they'll be able to accomplish this amount of stuff with like the way that things are going now. If they do, then it might be starting a new trend in the entertainment industry. But then they go on to say that Raya and the Last Dragon is coming out March 2021 on Disney's Premiere service, which, kind of surprised that they did that again to another Asian film. Not saying that Raya will be taken the same way that Mulan was, especially by people with Asian heritage, but I don't know. With HBO Max coming out with Wonder Woman and like their whole roster basically for 2021 on HBO Max without having to pay an additional fee, I don't know. I feel like people would probably protest, but then again, it is Disney, so it's like, what are you gonna do about it? So I don't know. I thought that was interesting. And then the next thing, I took notes while I was watching it, so this is all just like stream of consciousness things. The next thing that I wrote is like, Loki feels like a future Terminator trailer or intro for Karam's ending, which, just roll the clip, you'll see.
The Walt Disney Company is uniquely positioned to execute this consumer-centric strategy. We have brands and franchises that are beloved globally. We have teams of brilliant storytellers powering our best-in-class creative engines. And we have a strong and diverse portfolio of streaming services. All of these factors yield distinct competitive advantages, enabling us to deliver the compelling stories that audiences worldwide have come to expect from Disney in the ever-evolving ways that they prefer to view them.
So until that point, the presentation had been pretty slow, which is not a surprise since this whole presentation was built for investors, people who are about the numbers and business side of things. So they're not really expecting a show per se. But I was very happy when the FX portion of the presentation came up, because I was definitely like, help me like stop the glaze from going over my eyes with it being like low-key boring. It was a little boring. Even though they were announcing cool stuff, it felt like I was sitting in a lecture, you know? Yeah. But that aside, FX was definitely flexing with the stuff that they had. Thankfully, that carried the pace for the rest of the presentation. So if you guys want to see it, you can start from about an hour in and get like basically the meat of all the good stuff if you want to see it for yourself. But I also thought that Shogun, which is the show that's like, they compared it to Game of Thrones, so I feel like it's going to be like a big series of that caliber, because I can't just throw that around willy-nilly. That's going to be set in Japan, which is really cool, since I actually, when I first saw the trailer pop up, I thought it was like something Ghost of Tsushima related. I was like, what the heck? So that was pretty cool to see. I'm interested to see where that will go, and FX is also going to be on Disney Plus, I do believe. I think there might be an update or something. I was like a little bit confused on that, but also not fully paying attention because I'm like, I just want to see the announcements, so I'll have to look more into that. But yeah, Shogun looks really cool. Next note I made was like, I didn't know that there was so many female executives that were helping run these different companies as well as within Disney, so I thought that was pretty sick. You don't see that very often. At least I don't in a lot of entertainment things that I watch, so it was cool. So then we move on to Star Wars, which was a big section for me. So we have 2 spin-off Star Wars series, which is going to be the Rangers of the Republic and Ahsoka, which I am so thankful for, because I was not upset, but I was confused because I'm like, Ahsoka has the story that nobody has really seen. Like, I'm pretty sure it's probably in the comics somewhere, but no one's seen it on a screen as to what happens after the Clone Wars. And the fact that like she only had like 2 episodes in The Mandalorian, and she well, I don't want to give any spoilers for those who haven't seen it, but she doesn't play as big a role as I wanted her to. The fact that she's going to get a spin-off show, I really like that a lot. I'm also surprised that they didn't mention Boba Fett's spin-off show, unless that's something incorporated in Mandalorian, which I've heard is probably not the case, but I don't know. So there's also going to be a Star Wars spy film by the name of Andor, I believe. It's going to be out in 2022. It's going to be done by the same person who does the Bourne Identity movies, and the pilot from Rogue One will be starring in it. So that'll be something cool for the people who enjoyed Rogue One. I'll have to really watch it again to get a full, I guess, reset my opinion, because I was already, after the first movie of the trilogy, I believe it was. I think Rogue One came after that. I'm not 100% sure, but I was mad. I was mad from seeing the first movie and just being like, oh, this is no. So I don't think I really gave Rogue One a fair chance, and a lot of people enjoyed it, so that'd be good for them. And then, oh my gosh, I think some of the biggest news of this whole presentation, Obi-Wan is going to have his own series. Ewan McGregor will come back with Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan and Anakin are going to have a rematch in it. So this will be interesting to see. I don't know like a lot of the Star Wars lore in between movies, or even in like some of the earlier movies, chronologically speaking. So I'll be interested to see where this goes, if he'll be Darth Vader at this point. I guess he has to be, because y'all know what happens to Anakin. So that'll be an interesting rematch to see for sure. So then after that, they revealed The Bad Batch, which is supposed to be the sequel to the Clone Wars, and it follows Specialist Commandos of the Clone Force 99. Doesn't mean anything to me, but I'm sure to Star Wars fans, especially fans of the Clone Wars, that probably means something. And it sounded like they had the same people who were doing the VO for the clones in the Clone Wars. So they're probably were in the show at some point, but that's just me guessing. Then we also have Star Wars Visions, which are going to be a series of animated short films, and they're going to be done by Japanese animation studios. So we're getting freaking Star Wars anime. I'm like, oh my god, like Star Wars is like was carrying this whole presentation at this point. I'm like, wow, what the heck? And then they were saying they were going to come out with a show just focused on Lando Calrissian. It's going to be called Lando. Then we have Acolyte, I believe it's pronounced, final days of the High Republic era, which I believe is going to be a feature film. Don't quote me on that. I'll put somewhere in the subtitle down below. The next thing they announced is a droid story, which is going to be starring R2-D2 and C-3PO. They didn't say a whole lot about this, so I'm not sure if it's going to be a feature film, a short film, or a series. I imagine it would be a series, but once again, I don't believe they disclosed that information. I didn't hear it. And the next thing they announced was Willow, which is a series that's going to be, I believe it was created by George Lucas. So I know nothing about Willow. I don't know where it fits into the Star Wars universe, but if anybody knows, let me down in the comments below. My next thought that I wrote down, lots of diversity in the exec teams of these productions, and I actually timestamped this, so just like look at a few of the different like producers, writers, directors that they're trying to bring on to create all of these shows and productions. Like that is really impressive to me, considering that I am a young African-American female who is hopeful that I'll be able to do something with entertainment as a career. Like, that's very encouraging to see, especially considering, at least for me at my school, I mostly have white peers, and not a whole lot of women in at least my media studies classes. In my journalism classes, it's like basically all women and no men, interestingly enough. So yeah, this is really encouraging to see, and I would love to see more of that. I've actually, a little side note, been watching some of Disney's kind of like behind the scenes things. So I watched, I'm forgetting the name of it now, but it's basically like Disney's behind the scenes to The Mandalorian. And that has been really cool to see, just like the amount of different directors that they have on that show, or at least on the first season, and just like the diversity of different backgrounds and their point of views and how that affected like each episode. Like, you can definitely tell like it has its own little flavor to it. So that's cool. We'll get back to that in a little bit, actually. But moving on, this was another fun announcement. For a second, I typed it in all caps. I said, Indy is coming back, comma, and then I put it back into just like regular caps, I guess, just Harrison Ford is coming back. So I don't know if anybody else had seen, but Chris Pratt was supposed to be the next Indiana Jones. They didn't exactly deconfirm this because they were saying that they were going to finish out the rest of Harrison Ford's Indiana Jones story with Harrison Ford, with that movie coming out in July of 2022, by the way. So Chris Pratt still has a shot. Crossing my fingers for Chris Pratt. I really like him as an actor, and he seems like a cool dude. So the next announcement that they made was of interest to me, was the Children of Blood and Bone series that's going to be based off of the New York Times bestseller. I've never read it, but it's a bestseller, so it must have been pretty good. So maybe I'll have to give it a shot, and I'll update you guys on my hopes for the show, possibly. Then the next thing that I thought was cool is Taika Waititi is going to be directing a Star Wars feature, and we didn't even really see any footage from it. I don't remember if they were supposed to be showing footage. There were like so many different projects and things that they wanted to show footage for, but they couldn't for some reason, which was confusing to me. But just from the logo alone, I felt like it had some Thor Ragnarok vibes, and the woman who was presenting, kind of explaining what all, like, the flavor of this project was going to be. It kind of seemed like it was going to be a little bit more humorous, which makes sense since Taika has a, like, comedic background. And he was actually one of the directors for the first season of The Mandalorian, so it's cool to see him continue with the Star Wars universe on this project. So I have high hopes for that. I'm gonna try and stay level though, because Star Wars has been like rocky for a little bit. So then the next Star Wars feature that they announced is going to be directed by Patty Jenkins, who directs the Wonder Woman films, and it is going to be titled Rogue Squadron. So it's kind of interesting to me that they are going with more of the like Rogue One type stories with the like fighter pilots and such. Especially since they have what is that cartoon called? They have a Star Wars cartoon that's like focuses on the pilots fighting and doing pilot stuff. I don't know. So interesting that they're doing that. I guess just that it will make toys and stuff, so why not? Next thing that they announced that I personally am kind of like whatever about, but I know a lot of people loved it, is there's going to be a Mighty Ducks series, and it's going to be called Mighty Ducks Game Changer. So it's interesting that they're kind of like reaching into their library, as they were mentioning in their presentation, to bring some older things into a new light. So you'll definitely see a lot of that. Unfortunately for me, that also means that they were going to go back to Percy Jackson. So they're doing a Percy Jackson series, and it's called Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Now for me, I really, really, really enjoyed reading the Percy Jackson series throughout, I guess, end of elementary school, middle school, and a little bit of beginning of high school, before reading books was not so much fun for me anymore, in a sense. So when I saw the first movie, I thought it was alright. The second movie was not good. It was just not good. So I'm hoping that, since they're already doing it, I'm just hoping for the best and hoping that they'll do the series justice, because there's a lot of fans out there, such as myself. And then another thing, which I won't be like super hype about, but I know other people will be, especially, is they are making a sequel to Hocus Pocus. So Hocus Pocus 2 has been confirmed. I don't remember if they said they had already filmed anything yet. They were giving updates on projects and such like that, if you are going to go back and watch the presentation. So, but Hocus Pocus 2 has been confirmed, so yay for those people. And then, oh my gosh, this was actually a big thing for me as well. The Little Mermaid live action film is going to be starring Hailey Bailey, which is, I think, pretty damn good. Considering when I was on Twitter and saw that they were going to be doing a Little Mermaid live action, I was kind of like, oh, like, why do we need to do this? But whatever. I'll still support it since I enjoyed The Little Mermaid. But when they saw that Ariel was possibly going to be a black woman, people were freaking out. Now, I'm not gonna say everybody was, because, you know, not everybody is like that, but people were like, oh my god, you can't have Ariel be freaking, you can't have Ariel be black since it's in this part of the world, and they're like, aren't that many black people in this part of the world or whatever, and just making like lame excuses as to why Ariel can't be black, and a fictional character, a mermaid, cannot be black. But they lost, so ha to them. And then another cool thing is Alan Menken, who did the soundtrack for Little Mermaid as well as many other Disney movies. He's like the GOAT to go to for Disney music. He is going to be making some new music for the film as well, and he'll also be working with Lin-Manuel Miranda, who did Hamilton. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to look forward to it, honestly. Then freaking W after W, we have finally Disney talks about Tiana, which, for those who don't know, I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't know, because nobody talks about it. Tiana was the first black Disney princess, and if I'm not mistaken, I think she was the first Disney princess of color, which people just forget about all the time. As they're actually bringing her back with a long-form musical comedy series called Tiana. So I will definitely be checking that out, just out of respect for Tiana, because I'm like, come on, like, this was a big deal when it first came out. I did not have the chance to watch it in theaters, but I think I watched it like as soon as it was available on TV or something, because I'm like, dude, this is dope. Finally, like, some representation. So glad that she's coming back and more people will be exposed to her. And then W after W after W. It was kind of interesting when they got to this part of the presentation, because the presenter was talking about seeing a Nigerian animation company kind of talking about like, you know, we're gonna kick Disney's ass and we're gonna do like interesting things, and instead of being like, oh my gosh, like you guys wish, and you know, being the way that you think like a corporate person might be, like, you know, a stereotypical like bad corporate person, she was like, oh, that's interesting. And she actually like went out of her way to contact them, and she's like brought, or not her personally, but they've been brought on to do a series that's going to be on Disney Plus called Iwatu. I don't know. There was accent marks and other things. It's Nigerian, so I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly, but I'll have the logo somewhere on screen. And it's going to be, they're going to do the animation for it. Don't know who's going to be writing the stories, whether it'll be a part of if the animation group also writes it, or if they'll get a Nigerian writer to do it. But I know it's going to be a Nigerian focused animation, so it's going to have a lot of that culture and rhetoric and things like that in there. So that's going to be interesting. And then Soul comes out on Christmas, so it's like, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 W's? 4 W's, man. That's good. That's pretty good. I'm actually looking forward to Soul. Soul is going to be, it's been made by Pixar, and Pixar just has like amazing animation in general, so I wouldn't expect anything less. Even with it being a pandemic, I feel like they were pretty far along as far as like progression before things started shutting down. And I don't think that they would have put this out if they weren't ready. So I'm excited to see it, and we'll definitely talk about it. If not the day after Christmas, some point soon after that, before the end of the year. This is a lot of information. So the next thing I was excited for was Doug Days, which is going to be an animated series about Doug, the little dog from Up, which is just so cute. And he's actually the man who voices him, which I'll have his name in a subtitle below because I cannot remember. But he is actually, I believe, writing the series, so that's pretty cool. I'm just happy to see Doug is back, because Up is one of the best animations that I've probably seen. It's really good, and if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. It's a good one. So the next thing they announced that was of interest to me was Lightyear, which is going to be Buzz Lightyear's origin story. And since it's not Buzz Lightyear the toy, it's actually Buzz Lightyear the person that they are making this movie off of, they decided to get a new voice actor, and it's going to be Chris Evans. So that's interesting. Captain America's coming back, except he's a Buzz Lightyear. That's it. Then after that, got a new trailer for WandaVision. If you are super interested in that show, definitely check that out. They'll probably have it up on their YouTube channel. I would be surprised if they didn't. After that, they talked about the new Doctor Strange Into the Madness, I believe it is, movie, that it was going to be coming out in March 2022. And they actually confirmed that it's going to be connected to the new Spider-Man movie that's going to be coming out actually in December of 2021. So I guess Spider-Man is setting some things up for Doctor Strange. I kind of thought it was going to be the other way around. Don't know if that changes anything per se. I don't know. Because I was thinking that, you know, Doctor Strange would open the multiverse, would pull out Tobey Maguire, would pull out Andrew Garfield, and then they would be available for the next Spider-Man movie. But that does not seem to be the case. So I don't know. I'm not writing the movie, so I'm not going to think about that any longer than I need to. Just interesting to think about. So then, next thing they talked about within the Marvel department is the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, and it's going to be a 6-episode series that's coming out this March. And I think it's interesting considering I am not too super attached to Falcon, and I feel like his character, at least in my opinion, it wasn't developed as much as it could have been. So I'm interested to see what they do with him, especially since he's going to be taking up the role of like Captain America, I guess. I don't know, because his name is still Falcon. So like, is he taking up the mantle, or is he still Falcon because he was given the shield? But in the trailer, you actually see his shield, Captain America's shield, in a museum for Captain America with a lot of memorabilia. And then we have an update on Black Widow. So Black Widow is going to be coming to theaters in May. It does not look like it's going to be coming to Disney Plus anytime soon, at least, unfortunately. So it'll be a little while before I see it, probably. Yeah, I don't know. That was an interesting decision on their part. I can see like why they did it, because money reasons and whatnot. But so here's the thing for me. Wonder Woman hit theaters in China or in Asia not too long ago, like I think within this past week or so, and it hasn't been doing as well. I'm like, yeah, we're in a pandemic, so I could see why it wouldn't do as well. So I'm waiting until after Christmas to see what Wonder Woman really has the potential to do. And I think like once like Disney sees those figures, I know HBO will be watching this closely, but once Disney see those figures and they see, whether people are really going to be more invested in these streaming services for their entertainment, including movies, and they're just like, scrap the movie theater until like things are safer, maybe they might change their minds. I hope, but I wouldn't hold out on that, because that seems like they're putting the stamp down on it and they're being very firm about it. But the next thing that they announced, which I was like kind of confused about, is the Loki series, which is supposed to be a crime thriller where I guess Loki is the detective and he doesn't really know like what's going on. I don't know how I feel about that, considering to me Loki is supposed to be a very cunning person where for the most part like he knows most everything that's going on, or he has some kind of idea. So being put into a new situation, like, yes, that makes sense that he wouldn't know everything that's going on, the ins and outs. But I feel like this is kind of make him act out of character, but I don't know. We'll give it a shot. We'll see what happens with that. So the next announcement that Marvel made is super huge to me, considering that I like to read way too into things and just like make up a whole bunch of different scenarios about the ways that things could have happened. So they're making a series called What If, and it's going to be taking events from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and reimagining them in different ways that they could have played out. Like, what if this person had taken this role, for example? And this literally, it caught me so off guard, and I had no words. So the beginning scene of Guardians of the Galaxy, where Peter Quill kind of like walks out and he sees the thieves that are standing in front of him. They replayed that scene, but instead of Peter Quill, it was T'Challa. And I'm like, that is insane. What if T'Challa was the one whose father was that god whose name I don't know, but that is just... This is like the nerds fantasy show. We're just like reimagining these different scenarios of like what would have happened if this character actually switched with this person. Like, how would this whole story have turned out? So that's amazing. And then the best part about it is it's actually going to be streaming soon. I hope soon means like sometime within like the next couple months, but that I'm super intrigued by that, and we will definitely be talking about that at some point. So then of course we have Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was announced. Miss Marvel's show was announced, which I believe it's going to be a series. I'm not sure how long, they didn't say. But they also announced Captain Marvel 2 right after that, as well as She-Hulk, which is going to have her own series, which I believe will be live action. I'm not pretty sure, actually. I assume it was going to be live action, though. Then they also announced Moon Knight, which we didn't see any footage for Moon Knight either, but I also feel like it's going to be live action. And they described him as like an Indiana Jones type character, which is interesting because I literally don't know anything about Moon Knight. He was always like, for some reason, a difficult character to unlock in Ultimate Alliance, if you guys have ever played that. So I didn't really get his backstory. I didn't understand like what was going on with him and his origins and whatnot. But apparently he's an indie type character, so that's already a plus for me. He apparently has dissociative identity disorder, which that part did not come through in Ultimate Alliance, so that'll be interesting to see on screen. And he also is African, I believe, being Egyptian, so that'll be cool. Another African-based character. And then the next thing they announced is Ironheart, who is supposed to be starring a black woman who has created the technology to, I guess, become the next Iron Person? I don't know. I'm very interested to see where that goes. And then along the same lines of Iron People, we're going to be having Armor Wars, which is going to be starring, I believe, starring Don Cheadle, being War Machine. I don't know if he's going to be like the main character of this or if he'll just be in it. But there's that. Then we also have Thor Love and Thunder, which they announced is going to be coming out in 2022. Blade has started production. So there's probably going to be some more updates soon, they said. Or they will update us when they have the information. Ant-Man 3 was announced, and it's going to be called Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Black Panther 2 is going to be coming out in 2022, and they said they will not be recasting the Black Panther. So Chadwick Boseman will remain as T'Challa, and they said they were going to try and explore the world of Wakanda more, which makes me a little bit concerned, only because I don't know, I don't feel like there's ever been, at least to date, a Marvel movie that I can think of that really just focused on exploring an environment. Not to say that that's a bad thing, but I don't know, I think it's going to be very outside of the norm, given the circumstances. Understandable. So all the best with that one. And then the last announcement before they ended up going to Q&A is that they are doing another Fantastic Four. And I said Fantastic Four, comma, ugh. I honestly do not want to see another Fantastic Four movie. I feel like they have trashed it enough times. I thought that the first, I believe, 2 movies with the original cast, with Chris Evans being the Human Torch, I thought that those movies were pretty good. I enjoyed them growing up. I don't know if they're trash because, you know, I watched them growing up as a kid, so I'll have to rewatch them again to see. General consensus from what I've seen is that people didn't like them, unfortunately. So I guess Fantastic Four just has a bad track record. But I think they should have just let that one go. But they're trying it again, so we'll see if they get it right this time. But those were all of the announcements that I found to be super interesting, surprising, basically just things that I wanted to see and I wanted to tell you guys about because I figured you guys wanted to know and you didn't want to watch a 3-hour presentation about it. So yeah, if you guys want to know like the business side of things with Disney and their figures for last year and like what they're expecting for next year, check out the presentation with the beginning and the end. Otherwise, you basically got the meat of it. Excluding National Geographic, because I'm not a big National Geographic person. Although I did see they're doing a show with Chris Hemsworth called Limitless, and a show with Will Smith where he explores the Earth, basically. I don't even know what the name of it is, but 2 cool personalities, so if you like those people, check it out. But yeah, that is going to be it for me. That was a lot of information. So thank you guys for sticking through to the end. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you are new. Helps me out a ton, lets me guys know you're interested and want to see more stuff like this. And yeah, that's gonna be it. Still working on some stuff. Hopefully I'll have it out before the end of the year. If not, hope you guys understand. And yeah, I'll probably have a review of Wonder Woman 1984 and Soul coming at you guys most likely after this one. So if you guys are into those, we'll be talking about that. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Hope you guys have a nice evening or night, whatever is, enjoy it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.